Okay, number 3. So now we've looked at what marketing is. Now we've looked at the progression model and how your buyers buy. Now we get to the good stuff, which is, okay, but seriously, Karen, what numbers? What do I need to measure? And when do I get my money? And that's a justifiable question, by the way. I don't want you to feel as if I'm saying that, you wanting to make sure that your marketing investment is worthwhile is not a good thing. It is a good thing and it's a right thing. But if you are constructing your marketing solely on the principle of, I want to make more money for my firm, your buyer will feel that. And we don't want your buyer to feel pressure. We want your buyer to feel trust. So let's look at the kind of things that you can measure, what you need to measure, and when. So the first question to ask yourself, we mentioned it earlier, but you may want to refresh yourself on this one and just answer it to yourself even now while you're listening, which is, what kinds of things do you personally measure every day? And the reason for this exercise is to help you think about what you measure and why. And you can do it for your business, your accounting business, but I would encourage you to think personally. As I said, I measure stuff on my Apple Watch. There are apps that I look at on my phone every single day. And that is an important thing to remind yourself of what you need to be measuring on a regular basis for your marketing. So you measure the stuff that you're trying to get a sense of what you need to do with it. And when it comes to marketing, remember our 1 bucket, 2 bucket rule at the beginning. The 2 bucket rule says that it isn't simply, I do this one thing and I get this one thing. So you don't just track your Facebook ad spend and track your Facebook ads income. That isn't how it works. You've got to track your Facebook ads spend, your website spend, your blog spend, your video spend, your content marketing spend, your marketing manager that you've hired spend, the time that you personally spend on marketing. And by the way, little side note, the owner or partner or directors of accountancy firms absolutely 100% have to be involved in marketing for it to succeed. If you want to get okay marketing, you can hire a marketing person or a business development person and delegate it to them and hope it goes well. But if you want your marketing to be amazing and to be mind-blowing and to be the kind that all the other accounts want to be like you personally need to be involved. It is, without question, the number one thing that sets apart the firms who have mind-blowingly, amazingly marketing results every time. The owners are involved and the whole team is involved. But that's another session on its own. So in terms of the specific things to measure, we're back to our return on objective. Why are you doing this marketing? And we talked about how, okay, yes, ultimately you want to get sales and profits, but you've got to back that up. Yes, you may think I'm doing it to get leads, but it's not just that. Remember, we talked about the difference between leads and then leads take a while to convert into sales. Brand awareness is a genuine marketing objective. And if you want people to be more aware that your accountancy firm exists, that will change the items that you measure. If you are measuring leads, the number of people who are connecting with you in some way, that's different. You measure different things than if you're measuring sales, which is the number of proposals or quotes that have been accepted. Brand awareness is things like the number of followers you have on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube. And by the way, if you don't even have a presence on any of those, that's maybe one of the things for the list. But I'm not going to rush you because social media is not the magic wand that's going to magically bring you all this amazing business. It is a part of the marketing whole. Building a niche audience. This is another objective that I've worked with accountants on. We've got a firm we've worked with in the States who has a veterinarian niche. We've got another firm that had veterinarians. They also worked with medical doctors. They also worked with pharmacies. So they had multiple niche audiences. And so their objective was to have lots more veterinarians downloading their free stuff. Remember the progression model we talked about. People are moving through from never having heard of you to, hey, this is a helpful download for vets. I will download it. That's a lead. So you're tracking how many people who are veterinarians are downloading this document. So that tells you what to measure based on what your objective is. So don't presume that your objective, of course, is leads and sales. I mean, in one sense it is for everybody, but go deeper than that. And don't be afraid to have a different objective that will help you to measure different things. So you might have something else, and that's fine. And if you're not sure, ask me, ask your business coach or advisor or mentor, figure out what your objective is. Because otherwise you're just going to be measuring things because some other accountant is measuring it, and that is not a good way to decide what to measure. You've got to measure what's important to you and to your firm. Okay, so the next question is, well, what exactly do I measure? Okay, fine, Karen. I know that my goal is brand awareness, and my goal is to get more people in this particular niche to connect with us. What exactly do I measure? Well, there's a lot of things you can measure, but there's a list I've put together here, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 things, and there's probably a lot more. Well, there are a lot more as well, but these are some of the things, and these are broad categories. I can give you and go into great detail as to the 47 things you want to measure on your website and the 100 things you want to measure on social. But keep it simple. That's my first tip to you, is measure stuff relating to each of these, remembering your objective always. So if you're going to measure things on your website, if your objective, let's go back for a second, if your objective is brand awareness or building a niche audience, that's going to tell you what you need to measure in these areas. So if you're building a niche audience, then maybe you need to have a website page for that particular audience, for veterinarians, and see how many people are visiting that page. What is the bounce rate? Bounce rate is how quickly somebody leaves the page. So if your bounce rate is really high, people come and they leave within under a second or 2 seconds, you're going to need to change that page. That will tell you. You can measure things like blog posts. So if you write a blog post about this particular niche for veterinarians, did anyone read it? Is anyone clicking on it? Did they click on it multiple times? Did they share it? All this stuff is possible. Google Analytics is very simple to set up. In my experience for accountants, the setting up is not a problem. It's what do I do with it? What kind of stuff do I put in the report? Once I get the report, what do I do with it? Well, that's where you probably want to get some help from somebody who knows what they're doing and say, here's my metrics, what do I do with them? So that's what we do with our clients who work with us on a monthly basis. We track all these numbers based on their objective, and we put it in a G sheet. This does not have to be rocket science, you guys. Just get yourself a G sheet. I recommend G sheets rather than Excel spreadsheets, because a Google sheet is part of Google Drive and everyone has access to it, and any changes are instantly saved and everybody sees it at the same time. So you never have to worry about version control. So use a G sheet and list out, a few things for the website from Google Analytics, all the social stats that you have access to. How many followers do I have on Twitter? How many followers do I have on Facebook? How many likes did we get for the posts? How many posts did we do? We have one firm we were working with in the States who has a niche area, and they worked with us on our 12-week accelerator course, and the marketing manager who went through the course looked at her Twitter numbers particularly. She focused on Twitter and Instagram, and she looked at her Twitter numbers particularly and noticed that some of them had doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled in the 1 month following her going through this accelerator course, because she had focused all of her Twitter and Instagram efforts in this niche area. And she had, she went from, okay, we had 69 people liking these posts, and now we have 472 people liking these posts. And she was able to see the numbers. That's why you track these things, because you can look for patterns. And this is the most important thing I want to get across to you. Whatever you're measuring, whether you're measuring website pages or social, or the number of emails you sent, or the quotes that you put out, or the number of clients you have, or the sales or the profits, then you're looking for your patterns. So you got to be tracking this stuff. I suggest you track this for a bare minimum of 6 months before you start making marketing decisions based on it. And if you've got major foundational marketing issues like a really ugly logo, a website you haven't changed in 5 years, and you can't really edit it very well, and you don't like the look of it, and you're not really on most of the socials, it's going to take you a while to sort those things out first. Be measuring this stuff. Absolutely be measuring it, because, hey, at least you know where to go up from here. But Measuring these things and looking for patterns is not a matter of, hey, I wrote a blog post, how come we don't have 600 followers on LinkedIn? You've got to look for your own patterns. Oh, I did a blog post every day for a month, and we have twice as many people reading it or replying to us. Remember, you're looking for conversations. You're looking for engagement. Engagement simply means somebody is connecting with you in a personal way. So those are some of the things. I could go into great level of detail on that, but it gives you some idea of the things you can measure. Our accelerator program, the 12-week course, we give you a template with all that. But hey, you could create your own. Go into G Sheet and list all the stuff from Google Analytics and social and just, start somewhere. I encourage you to at least do that. One of the questions we get asked a lot is, well, how long do I measure it for? And I know I told you got to at least measure for 6 months before you start looking for patterns. And one of the reasons for this is there's a very, very long time frame at the beginning, and then it builds and it goes faster over time. So this is a company, the owner of the company actually works with us a lot on brand projects. So high-level branding projects. We bring in Call, who owns his design agency. He's got 20 years of brand experience. The guy is a legend. And he decided to start doing videos on YouTube, and he was publishing, like one a week or whatever it was. And so he started tracking how many subscribers he had on his YouTube channel. Now, you guys are accountants, you'll love these numbers, but here you've got, he started in June of 2016. So from June of 2016 to June of 2017, he made it up to 1,000 subscribers. Look how slow that was at the beginning. He had 57, then 100. So, he's doubling it, and then he's just like, it's kind of eking up, and it's really slow. So it takes him a year to get 1,000. But look how long it takes him to get the second 1,000. 2 months. And then look how long it takes him to get to the 3,000 mark. 2 months again. This is just zooming. And of course, this varies depending how many videos he's putting out. So this is the same principle when it comes to marketing. Everybody tends to give up, actually, kind of around this mark. Because you go, you know what, I started in June. It's not February. I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Clearly we're getting nowhere. And they give up and they drop and they lose the potential 7,000 subscribers that they could have had. That's just one tiny example. I've got hundreds of those examples. And by the way, the reason I'm showing you an example of a graphic designer and not an accountant is because it's taking us a while to get this level of awesome examples from accountants doing it, because so many accountants have taken so long to get going on this. Now, I am starting to get some pretty awesome numbers from a lot of the firms we're working with and other accountancy firms I know of. But I want to encourage you that it always takes a lot longer, and I don't want you to give up before you get there. And of course you're asking, well, is it going to be worth it? Why am I doing this anyway? And one of the challenges for this is you've got to believe in the process. You've got to believe in the concepts behind it. And the only way to do that is to listen to the stories that other people who are following this are doing. So we follow this at PF. We work with our clients on this, and the clients of ours who follow this absolutely 100% every time get these kinds of results. Some of them it takes a long time, some of it's a little faster, depends how much investment time you want to put in, how fast you want to move. But the process absolutely 100% works. But you need to believe that. And we're back to our concept of trust. If this is the first time you've ever heard me present on marketing, then you might be going, I don't know, I've heard all this stuff about marketing. But if you've watched hundreds of my other videos and webinars and read my blog posts and get my marketing tips every Friday, then you might be at a point of going, gosh, I think she might know what she's talking about and I need to listen. And I can tell you right now, having worked with accounts originally in the UK and then expanding it to the US, Canada, and all these other countries, is that I am seeing right now these patterns in US firms that I saw 5 years ago with UK firms. And so what I can tell you is I know how this pattern goes. I know how this works. I can tell you the things that work and the things that don't. And the stuff I'm telling you, 100% works. The firms who took my advice 5 years ago, 6 years ago, are in a phenomenal place. There's a firm in Manchester who has an exclusive niche. They've involved their entire team in marketing. They've invested hugely in marketing training. They focused on their brand and they use video all the time. They are just blowing it out of the water. I mean, they have more business than they know what to do with. Every day I see them saying, hey, we got another lead for a type of business we don't work with. Anyone want it? Every day they're doing that. That's the dream. They're doing the things that I told people 5 years ago they need to be doing. So that I'm telling you, that's why this is so important. That's why you'll get the value. So go back to your objective, look for your patterns, different patterns than other people's, but do not give up. Because this is what accountants, this cartoon that I got from Marketunist, this is how I see accountants looking at marketing. And it's not an accurate way, because you go, oh, sales are up, yay. Oh, sales are down, it's a disaster. Oh, our marketing's working. Oh no, we need to cut our marketing. I have seen so many accountants who say, oh, we tried that for 3 months, it didn't work. We tried that for 8 months, it didn't work. Remember the graph with the guy with the YouTube videos. Don't stop before you get there. Don't cut your marketing spending because you got a bunch of leads and now you're really busy. You cut it then, and in 3 to 6 months' time, you're going to be wishing that you had spent it before, because you're going to be in a slow time and then you're going to be really discouraged. So that concept is you've got to press on with it and keep pressing on with it based on the core principles of building trust.